Joining me now is Kansas Senator Roger Marshall. Senator, it's great to see you this morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, Maria, it's great to be with you, and we welcome this rescission package. Congress will have 45 days to deal with it. I hope it flies through the House and flies through the Senate, and I hope that they keep sending us more of them.
Yeah, but, of course, a rescission package, several rescission packages are not really going to cut into the kind of debt that we're talking about and the spending cuts that you and your colleagues are talking about. Can you give us some insight in terms of what the conversation is right now on the Senate on this big, beautiful bill, as you've got colleagues who say in its current form they can't vote for it? That includes, as you just heard, Ron Johnson, Rand Paul, others who are, even Rick Scott, who are worried that the spending problem has gotten worse.
Right. Well, certainly I was part of that budget committee that came up with the $6.3 trillion budget. I think we need to work fervently towards that. It sounds like the House has probably cut about $1.6 trillion. I've asked our leadership to get that north of $2 trillion. I agree with President Trump and Secretary Bessent that we, number one, need to grow the economy. When Ron looks at these numbers, he's assuming a growth rate of about 1.8%. Look, if this economy can't grow more than that, we might as well throw in the towel. I think as we roll back regulations, as we give opportunity more like we're doing with our crypto bill, that this economy can grow more than that. But as we go through the appropriations process, we need to take more and more of that on as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. A lot of these senators are not really looking at the kind of growth that you're expecting or that the White House is expecting. Kevin Hassett said to expect 4%, potentially 4% growth in the second half of the year. What would trigger that kind of growth, in your view, in the second half?
Well, I think number one is just an attitude. Already back home, I'm seeing manufacturing jobs grow and grow and grow that we can't keep up with the orders. And I think that's probably because of President Trump's tariffs. I think the deregulation will add a 0.5%, maybe a 1% growth. I think those are the first steps. But it's just this general attitude that we're the start of a new economy. I think that the American consumer still drives the economy in so many ways. And I think that this tax bill alone is going to drive up growth as well. By making those Trump tax cuts permanent, it's going to give us significant growth. I think about R&D especially is going to allow this economy to grow if we're able to write all of that off each year.
Yeah, no, I could certainly understand sentiment and anticipation of what is to come, and so that dictates behavior. But do you believe, I don't think you have the votes right now. Do you believe that you will have the votes for this package and you will be able to identify more spending cuts by the July 4th deadline, or is this going to take longer?
Look, I'm still remain optimistic. Ron Johnson, Rick Scott, all those people, Mike Lee, and I share the same goal. On the other hand, as you mentioned, we got folks that are afraid of the small Medicaid cuts that we made already, Medicaid cuts that are going to strengthen Medicaid and save it for those who need it the most. So we're pretty far apart yet. We have 53 Republican senators. We have 53 opinions. We're trying to work through all that. I've been real impressed with John Thune and Mike Crapo's ability to bring everybody together. They're leading the charge right now, so I have confidence we'll get there. But we're not done, Maria. We will need to come back and do more rescissions, but also take a second and third bite of this apple. Let's get the one big beautiful bill across the finish line, then let's come back and get a second and third bite.
On those rescissions, OMB Director Russ Vought said that the rescissions package is moving after a chat that he had with the Speaker of the House yesterday. Here's what he said. Watch this.
The Speaker said on his way in today that he was expecting multiple rescissions packages to come from management and budget. Is that your expectation as well, not just one?
I do. I want to see if it passes. I think we're very interested to make sure it passes both the House and the Senate, but we're very open to sending multiple bills.
Just to confirm, the package that's coming tomorrow is supposed to include the NPR and
correct. It's the same $9.4 billion we've been talking about for a while now. We've been working with the House to make sure it's in the best place to pass.
Senator, I know that you also want to get back to pre-pandemic spending. How much do you believe you need to cut to get back to pre-pandemic spending? And I understand that that's not going to happen in this right now, but this is a little more midterm or long term. But how much do you need to cut overall in spending to get back to pre-pandemic spending?
Well, if you start pre-pandemic levels was $4.5 trillion, and now we're over $7 trillion, and that seems to be impossible. I think you listen to Ron John, you adjust for inflation and growth and this and that. I think if we get back towards a $6.3 trillion budget, that we can have this balanced in 4 years. It's not going to happen overnight. We turn this big ship too quickly, we're going to dump people off.
I want to move on to the Genius Act and the stablecoin bill on a path to passing the Senate. But you've got a proposed amendment on the credit card swipe fees. People feel that's threatening to upend it, as it's creating some tension between financial institutions and major retailers. Senator, the Credit Card Competition Act is your amendment. Tell us what you're trying to do here.
Well, look, I think that this is a double win for the president. I think the Genius Act in and of itself is a great bill. It opens the doors for a stablecoin, for crypto as well. But our bill is actually going to get more yes votes. If we can get our amendment across the floor, I think we're going to net 4 or 5 more votes for the president. The double win for the president is that our bill actually is going to lower inflation. You know, think about processing fees here, credit card swipe fees. They're an inflation multiplier. America pays 4 to 5 times more than anybody else in the world does, and those are passed on to Americans. So right now, why are we paying so much? We have 2 credit card companies controlling 85% of the industry. We think that our bill is going to allow stablecoin to enter the market, other people to enter the market. All we're doing is promoting competition, and this is going to level the playing field, bring down the processing fees. Look, this is a bill that's going to help Main Street, not Wall Street. It's going to help hardworking Americans.
Yeah, no, I know that you've been trying to articulate and push this through for some time. You've been worried about this swipe fees, and I share your worry. But, people are worried that this amendment is going to slow down stablecoin. And, you've got people like House Financial Services Committee Chairman French Hill saying the Durbin-Marshall amendment has not gone through the process in either chamber, hasn't gone regular order, which means it hasn't been subject to committee hearings or markups. It's going to slow things down. You've got, people like Cynthia Loomis saying, I don't want to vote on the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill, on this bill. Haggerty saying, I don't see the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill as realistic for the Genius Act. Is there another path to take that credit card idea and put it somewhere else? Does it have to be in the Genius Act because people feel it's slowing things down?
Look, I think this is a perfect amendment for the Genius Act. They're working on stablecoin. We're working on stablecoin. This is a win-win for Americans. It's a win for the president as well. There's not a better place. Look, we wish it would have came through regular order. We've been asking for a hearing for 4 years, but MasterCard and Visa executives refuse to even come. They have such a large net profit margin. Look, this isn't fair. I'm all for capitalism, but capitalism without competition leads to greed. So I think that we got a great chance of getting this across the finish line.
And why do you think the big banks are against it?
Well, 4 big banks and 2 credit cards control 85% of the industry. So they're making bank on it, literally. They don't want the competition. They like it just the way it is.
Because they say, it's going to cost the economy $227 billion and eliminate jobs.
I think it's going to lower swipe fees for Americans. It's going to lower inflation. Look, this is for Main Street. It's not for Wall Street. Wall Street's going to do just fine. I'm fighting for Main Street. All
right, Senator, thanks for making the case this morning. We so appreciate all of your work. Thank you, sir. Senator Roger Marshall this morning on Capitol Hill. We'll be right back.